Now,
Okay, we was just speaking about how I got out of prison. I went back to the west side, back to Aunt Key's couch. You know what I'm saying? Back with the drugs in my hand. I'm selling the dope. I'm making ends meet. I'm not putting no gun in my hand. I'm not going around certain things, but certain things of survival instinct. Yes, I picked them up and I immediately toted them.
are you on paper?
Things going.
By the way, are you on
Yes,
paper?
yeah, they actually I was sentenced to 20 years to serve 8 from the time I turned 17, which was adult status. And then after I maxed out on the 8-year sentence, I was then walking into intensive probation, where I'm now required to pay fines, to be up under an intensive approach by probation officers to come to my home, twice, 3 times a week. I'll make sure I'm in the house by 5 to 6 o'clock, to make sure that I'm out here working on the side of the streets at least 3 days a week, free for the county, that I'm making regular urinalysis tests, that I'm paying these fines, I'm paying this retribution back to the guy that got beaten in the case. Like, it was intense, for real. But anyway, long story short, we had to do that for 2 years. I never made it that long.
What,
I ended
what
up
was it?
getting
Community
arrested.
corrections, or what did they have in Atlanta?
Probation.
Okay, intensive probation.
Probation.
Okay.
Yeah, intensive probation officers. They got special officers with special office units that's their whole detail, is to get you in there, get you acclimated to, hey, we're going to be coming out to your residence a few times a week. We're all going to be making sure that you check in at this community service every other morning, 3 to 5 times a week. You will get this many hours on the side of the road. You will have to pay this much money every single week. You will have to report here at this place on this time to do your work detail. You report over here to see your regular probation officer. You will report here to pay these fines. And it's like, well, when the hell do I got time to work? When do I got time to actually have a life? You just brought me from the worst penitentiary in the state of Georgia, Smith State Prison, and just dropped me out on the street with a $35 check. What am I supposed to do? I don't know how to transition. I've been in here since a child. I don't know how to make ends meet. I don't know how to go get no job. I don't know how to pay no bills. I don't know how to drive. I don't know how to write. I don't know how to do anything other than do time. I know how to survive in the chain gang. I know how to live off of chain gang codes, street codes. I don't understand anything. I don't know how to go to a job interview. I don't know how to, it was so strict that it's like the only route I felt I had, even though I came into the pen from working that plumbing job, I came out the pen feeling like I had to continue to go on the route of doing underhanded stuff, selling weed, selling crack, do something to hurry up and make ends meet so I can still go out here and do this community service work for 4 to 7 hours a day, and still be able to make it back in to get in that house by 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening for the time man come and check on my intensive probation time in the house. And then I got to be back out the house at 7 o'clock that morning, reporting back over here to get this piss test. Like, where was there anybody to come in and say, hey, brother, let me take you by the hand. Yeah, let me take you to a recovery center. Yeah, let me take you by the hand. Let me show you how you go to a job interview. Hey, brother, let me take you by the hand. Let me assist you and show you what men do in society and welcome you in society, just like them niggas welcomed you into the chain gang and gave you that shame and gave you that way to be able to survive the rough bids that you got to do in the Georgia penitentiary. Now I got aid and assistance in that, but I ain't getting no aid and assistance coming into the free world. And so I made faulty decisions. I made mistakes. I messed up. I ended up getting back on drugs, trying to cope and with suppressed issues. And before I know it, I led a brother from a abandoned house into my home with my 2 cousins where we sold the dope. I'm thinking he gonna do right by us because we grew up with him, but he didn't. when I got into a car crash because things was too heavy on me on Christmas Eve of 2006, and I drove that car into that pole at 96 miles an hour over there off of Bankhead Highway and tried to kill myself. When I woke up in the intensive care unit of Brady Memorial Hospital after James Brown had died, and I'm looking up at the TV with a breathing machine next to me and coming off of life support, and they tell me I'm Christmas Miracle for 2006, and I look and see a shackle on my leg, a shackle on my arm, and I'm wondering how am I a miracle, but I'm back locked up. Who did I kill? I don't even remember what happened. And then I find out when they say, hey, you got to go get locked up because you drove that car and then you got out of it and you tried to take a few steps away from it. We felt like you were trying to maybe run and flee. And so now I'm, instead of being led to a mental health hospital because I just tried to commit suicide into that pole at 96 miles an hour, I'm being urged back into a penitentiary cell. And it's like, when does it stop? Now I done violated my intensive probation. Now I done violated this, I done violated that, and I got more stacked on me. So now it's like I'm looking around, and when I get back home with a bottle of Percocet, because they said they had to kick me out of Grady Memorial Hospital because I've been in prison all my life and I don't have Medicaid or Medicare. So after just 3 days and only 24 hours of coming off the life support system, I'm kicked out of Grady Memorial Hospital back into the streets. I go through the little
no mental health assessment or treatment.
No mental health assessment, no mental health treatment, and I have a record of being treated by mental health. I've been treated since I was 11 years old. I done been to Georgia Regional Hospital, the state's qualifying leading mental health hospital, at the age of just 12, going on 13. So they have a strong record of my mental illnesses. I've been given Ritalin and other mental health medications. I've been going to psychiatrists. So like none of this was even assessed. None of this was even addressed, period. I didn't see none of that in my intensive probation mandates. I didn't see that in where the judge said, okay, when you get out of prison, these are the things that you got to confront and do. None of these things got brought up. It was only about paying this and going out and working on the county roads for that and showing up for this right here and going and seeing this and getting a piss urinalysis. And it's like, man, where do I turn? I don't know where to turn. And my mind is so chaotic. I just want to end it. If this is the game of life, like a Nintendo game, like a Sega Genesis or a PlayStation, I just want to turn it off. I don't want to play no more. And that's how I went out in 2006 at Christmas time, going into the new year, trying to commit suicide to just end it all. My first Christmas on the street since I was 16 years old. And so I just say that to say, family, I look back at it all. And when I got home, I found out that the same guy that I let sleep in my bed because he was in an abandoned house that I wanted to help, the one good act that I was striving to do to help someone out, this guy ended up having 13 New Orleans guys come in our home and rob, torture, beat, and stick broomsticks in the anus of my male cousins, trying to find out where the dope was at. There was no dope. We was borrowing dope to sell the dope to try to make it.
He thought you was the plug.
Yeah, he thought we were the plug, but we was borrowing, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, they didn't know. They just came from New Orleans from the Katrina flood. This was the bloody summer in Atlanta, Georgia, 2006, 2007. And so, when I got home and I seen my cousin crying and I seen my older cousin who like a big brother to me, when I seen him crying, and they told me that they took him back there in that room to the shower and stuff, broomsticks in one of the anuses. I'm like, oh my God, I got molested when I was a child. What the no? So I went to the guy when I found him and I said, bro, you got to leave. You got to go. But because he felt like I was on powder cocaine, because he felt like I was fragile because of my suicide attempt, he basically just deboed his way and continued to stay in the trap, control the trap, run it, and basically held over my cousin's head. If y'all niggas try anything, I got a crew that'll come back and see you.
Out of town.
So I moved. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
No, come on. What'd you say?
Oh, no. I'm putting it all together in my head, and I'm remembering that time around that happened when everybody left New Orleans, of that occurrence, not your particular one, but that story of people, using their cousins or their family from New Orleans, and basically making hit squads and hitting up dope, hitting up traps, different tracks, because don't nobody know these motherfuckers. They can, it's like having somebody come in from out of the country, and they can disappear overnight once they got they got the bread. But yeah, people was hungry. They was hungry, and it's plugging in my head out, and it's the visuals of that time is all coming back to me now.
That's real, brother, and that's where I found myself.
And you in this same closed environment, like you was describing earlier, where you have to leave because you have to leave a home because your relationship, people who you related to, your existence can get them hurt. That's how closed these communities are, where you cannot call the police, as we stated, and it feels like the makings of a war zone, a literal war zone.
Literally, and that's the key components that you begin to take on. I just sent you a message about Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he's teaching about becoming supernatural. And I'm reading the book. I'm studying this brother's psychology, his philosophy, his science, and that's what it's talking about. Like, if there's nothing that can change the mind state, you are conditioned to stay stuck in the memories of the same turmoil that has gone on in your life, and you continue to push that into your existence, and this is what you get out. You get out exactly what you put in, and so if nothing changes, nothing changes. And so that's where I found myself, and so now I want to just leave the hood. I didn't successfully commit to suicide. God brought me back to life. It's like, well, God, you got me here in this life, but you ain't showing me nothing new. So I took some time away, and I got away from the West Side. I told my cousins, if y'all don't want to push this dude out, I'm finna get the heck on, man. I'm gonna go to the East Side, man. I'm finna get me a job. I'm finna get out of this, man, because if not, I'm gonna either kill myself or kill someone else.
Doing nothing is the one option you can't. That ain't an option. Like it's
yeah.
And I don't know if people will get that without me saying it. You literally doing nothing or remaining there without taking some type of
action.
Reaction it's you're spelling a different type of trouble that we can't even imagine out here if we hadn't.
That's right, because that's in essence what happened. Like, it became a situation where even though I went out and I went to Beulah Heights Bible College and should talk to a counselor, Mr. John Dreer, and checked in there to try to go to college and become a minister. Even though I went to Morehouse College and in that same month went and got hired as one of the head cooks, in the student cafeteria and in the staff dining hall where we make fast foods. Even though I got hired over at Fairburn Townhouses as a security guard that was allowed to go around that community and check on the young people because they seen that I was in recovery and that I was striving to do something better with my life, coming out of that hospital, coming out of that drug-induced state, coming out of that mental, unhealthy state. It's like people open doors for me, but I'm gonna be honest with you. The pain, the feeling of leaving my family under this man's, tyranny, it touched me. And being a leader-like figure growing up as a child, you don't leave your people in no situation like that. So even though I was gone 6, 8, 9 months, I had to eventually come back and see how they was doing. And when my auntie sat down for Thanksgiving and she said, Andre, why is this man still in our house? you brought him in, and he's still here. And them guys, he's still bringing them around to drive and park up the street up there like they threatening somebody. Why is he still here? And in the midst of a relapse, I cried. I could not even eat my Thanksgiving dinner. I ran down the railroad tracks about a mile, and I just sat there crying. And before you know it, I went into a further relapse where I'm drinking every day, I'm snorting every day, I'm smoking every day. And for about 5 days straight, I did this with no sleep. And I went into a blackout state. And in that blackout state, when I woke up, I was in the county jail. They said that I walked down to that house. I walked in, went past the guys. I went back there to that guy's room. And they said I shot him point blank range in the back of his head and shot him a second time in the side of his head.
Yeah.
They said that I basically executed this man. And I walked out of there, and they said that they had me in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution the next day on Fox 5 News, on CBS News, on ABC News. All of them said that I basically went into their home and killed a man for no reason based on the fact that I was on drugs. But I was not on drugs at that time. I was under mental duress, yes. I was up under sleep deprivation, yes. But being on drugs at that time, I was not on drugs at that time.
So check this out. I realize now we're gonna have to do a whole nother section where I want you to walk through the legal process. So we'll have to do that on another day. But I want to go through the whole court process so people understand the public pretenders. They understand this incestuous relationship between everybody in the courtroom that's kind of, working together to send you to ship you off to do everything but address the underlying causes. What was the sentence that they gave you?
Oh, I got a life +5, life for malice murder, felony murder, by way of aggravated assault, felony murder by taking shot with a firearm, and 5 years for the conviction of possession of a firearm. And so I served 16 going on 17 years of a mandatory 30-year minimum life sentence, and then the 5 years mandatory minimum. So
okay.
I'm like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But brother, it's been an honor, man, to spend this time with you, brother. Anything that my story can do to help someone else, I don't mind being totally transparent about my molestation issues, my mother abandonment, my father having HIV, and passing away.
I gotta ask you, because I want to hear about all of it. I gotta ask you to leave us with a piece of it before you go. But before I ask you for that piece, which is about what you mean by surrogate grandmother, if you can explain how that came about or what that means. But I have to just say thank you and appreciate you, because there are a lot of people locked up who tell the story of the wrong that they did, and they internalize the victim, or they internalize their own oppression. They don't see what you're highlighting very well, which is all of the ways that as a society and a community and as a government, we failed you along the way. And this is not to make light of the seriousness of taking a life, but there's a thing called context. And I think anybody that hears your story should get that, but a lot of times we don't, when it's our story, we don't get the opportunity or have the insight to reflect as completely as it sounds like you have to really tell the whole story. But yeah, I want to ask if you could tell us what you mean by surrogate grandmother, or how that came about. Basically, my mother ran from the white community,
And when she was 17, she ran out to California and began to invest her time into the black community around 1970. Well, 10 years later, when she was 26 years old, she ended up being pregnant by a black brother out of Long Beach, California, and she got locked up for bank robbery. And while she was arrested, she had me in a women's facility in Castro Valley, California, where she didn't want the state of California to take me, so she went on a run, got on a plane, went to Atlanta, and an old dude picked her up on the side of the road and was like, man, you got a baby, lady, what you doing? So he took her and me to his great-grandmother's house, an old lady named Mud Deer on the west side of Atlanta, Simpson Road. And she said, baby, leave that baby here. That lady, Mud Deer, and her granddaughter, Big Mama, became my godmothers. And while I was growing up, they was in their 80s, and her daughter, Big Mama, died. So at the age of 11, 12 years old, one of my uncles in this adopted family took me to his auntie's house, Aunt Lula, and that became my surrogate grandmother. She took me under her wing. She was an old light-skinned lady, you know what I mean? And her husband was gone, and she just loved on me. She gave me a place that I could come cut grass if I needed to. If I couldn't get none, she'd just fold up a $5 bill and put it in my hand every time I came and saw her. She made sure I had something every Christmas and every birthday. And what made her more special than anything, you know, she seen I was being joned and ridiculed and picked on about my holy shoes. And she went and bought me my first pair of Nikes, my first pair of Reeboks to go to school in, so I wouldn't get picked on for wearing XJ900 Pro Wings hoops and the cheap shoes you get out of Payless Shoe Store. She saw the value of me when nobody else did, and so that became my surrogate grandmother. When I did that penitentiary time from 16 years old to 25, going on 26, it wasn't a month that went by that she didn't forget about me when she got her little Social Security check. You know, she kept that phone open for me to use, you know what I'm saying, every week. Just to
shout out to her, and thank God for her, man. For people like that still existing, because I mean, you can't say enough about somebody like that. And
ain't that a truth?
Man, yeah, we got so much.
Brother.
Man, thank you for. I can't thank you enough.
No thing.
And I look forward to picking it back up and seeing what we can
keep doing what you. Keep doing what you're doing, man. If it's anything I can do in the meantime, you let me know, okay?
Vice versa. I look forward to telling you my story. Maybe I'll put it on paper and let you get to know me that way, or you could interview me one day, however you want to do it. But I want to reciprocate the openness and the generosity with which you share your story, because it's not the easiest thing to do. Even when our stories are as triumphant as I find yours to be, it's different when it's personal. And man, you brought it with clarity. I am really grateful for it. I wish I didn't have to go to sleep, but I got a crazy day tomorrow. I'm in this speech competition on Friday, and I ain't even wrote it yet. I'm supposed to be. It's people that like practice their speech. They get it. They practice it for like a year before this shit. I ain't even wrote it yet, and it's Friday, and so I gotta.
I believe you have. I believe you already have it written in your heart. I believe you already have it beginning to permeate in your mind, and it's almost right there on your tongue right now. Because one thing about it, when you speak what's in you, nobody has to do a script. When you give what's in your soul force, it offers itself right on the tip of your tongue. You just remain passionate, centered, and focus on speaking to your audience what they need to hear. Just convey what's in you, my brother.
Bro, you know, one of the things about being locked up at an early age is you learn everything in there. It feels like it's designed to show you that you don't matter. It takes your voice away slowly, if you even have one to take. You lose it while you're there. And I'm honestly, I've been out for, I got out of prison about 17 years ago. I feel like I just started my reentry about 2 years ago, meaning the whole first 15 years, I didn't hear, you know, what I'm hearing from you. And I'm starting to learn how to tap into it. And I know what you're talking about, and and it goes against everything that they teach me about speaking that I've learned. It's something in you that once you turn it on, it's on. So really, I just gotta polish it. I think I know what I need to say, and I think this conversation might have gave me the clarity to do that. But yeah, I'm gonna be practicing for it, preparing for it tomorrow, making sure I got an opening and closing down, and then on after it on Friday, then I'll have a little more space. If I advance to the next round, then I'll have a couple of weeks to prepare. But I got thrown into this one on. I got voluntold by a mentor to do it, and it's one of them people where I try to listen to their advice when I can, and if it don't cost me nothing, then I do it. And this is one of them situations. So I'm looking forward to telling you how it went, and definitely going deeper into your story. Man, you said so much tonight that I'm trying to figure out how can I get this heard? I can get it heard interpersonally, but this needs to be heard by so many people, for so many reasons. Just because hell, you know what it is I'm trying to say. But I appreciate you, brother. Man. Here to aid and assist as well. Much love, and let me know if there's anything I can do to help support or promote what you're doing too.
Likewise, brother. I'm on standby for you. Don't hesitate, okay?
All right, man. Take care of yourself. I'll see you soon.
All right, peace, family.
Usually when I'm talking to people who've been in prison for a long time, I'm talking about transformation and redemption, and I'm making the point, at least to myself, and trying to make it to whoever hears this or finds this, knock on wood, that the people who I'm interacting with don't need to be in prison now. There's no need for them to be in prison now. At a time there was. I don't believe that this brother should have ever been there in the first place. And that's how important your story is. That's how important the way you tell it is.